Yizzo, you already know what time it is, man. It's your boy, Grown Man Business TV. You feel what I'm saying? Now, listen, man, you could tap in and you could tap out, but you know my slogan. You know what I suggest, and I suggest you tap in. So let's get right into it. Now, you already know time, energy, the highest forms of currency, my G. I know they got you out here chasing the bag, chasing that money, chasing that paper, stacking that cheese, that cheddar, and that mozzarella, but always keep it in the front of your mental Rolodex. That time and energy are the highest forms of currency, my G's, at all times. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's gonna be. Now, big salute to all my day one investors, man. Everybody that's highly invested in the channel, everybody that understands that we are growing this channel organically, constant elevation. Yeah, we on our way to the top, well over 50,000 subscribers, and we on our way to 60K. All right. Even bigger salute to all my newcomers, all my new subscribers, all my new investors, man. Everybody that's making their way to the Realest channel on YouTube, yours truly, Grown Man Business TV, is what it is, and it'll be what it's gonna be. All right, now do me a favor, my G's. Wipe off your feet before you step into the big house. Yeah. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure your notification bells are ringing loud and clear every time you step foot in the Realest channel on YouTube. Grown Man Business TV is what it is, and it'll be what it's gonna be. All right, big salute, man. Now, I got a lot of people in the DM right now. Yo, Big G and BTV, what's your thought process on the 7-year anniversary of the assassination of Nip Hussle? Yo, Big G and BTV, what's your thought process on the 7-year anniversary of the assassination of Nipsey Hussle the Great? Now, you already know, man. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be, but it is absolutely nasty work. It's nasty work at what happened to Nipsey Hussle in front of the Marathon store on Crenshaw and Slauson out there on the West Coast. We all saw it with our own eyes. Assassinated in broad day 7 years ago to today. You feel what I'm saying? March 31st. R.I.P. to Nipsey Hussle, man. R.I.P. to a young legend. You know, R.I.P. to a visionary, a soldier. You know what I mean? A leader. You feel me? Etc. Right? And again, y'all already know, we talk a lot about Nipsey on this channel. We always give Nipsey Hussle his flowers. And, a lot of people in the DM, they want my perspective. 7 years in, 7 years since the assassination of Nipsey Hussle, man. Nasty work. But, one thing for sure, two things for certain, the marathon continues. The marathon absolutely continues. And I ain't gonna lie, man, it was getting shaky. It was getting cloudy at a certain period. You know what I mean? It wasn't looking good for TMC. You know what I mean? For all money in. It just wasn't adding up. We always talk about every aspect of that situation. You feel what I'm saying? And the downloads have downloaded, my G's. And you got to understand something, right? We're not going to dwell on or dig into the whole situation of Nipsey being assassinated. Tonight, I want to just go across and go over a couple of quotes. I want to look over a couple of interviews, some of the things that drew me to the homie. You know what I mean? And, we just going to speak to the legacy. That's all. Quick hour of power. We're going to give Nipsey Hussle his flowers. And we're going to do it like that, man. So you already know before, right? I give you this pure dope straight off the brick directly into the bottles. Before I give you this pure dope straight off the brick directly into the bottles, we're going to do some customizations to the chat. Yeah, the higher-ups and the elites are always playing chess at the highest level. The higher-ups and the elites are always trying to shadow ban the channel and muffle the message. The higher-ups and the elites understand that Grown Man Business TV is absolutely a threat to the establishment. And not only am I a threat to the establishment, but the revolution will be televised right here in these YouTube streets. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. Again, man, big salute to the chat. Make sure y'all hit the like button, subscribe button. Make sure y'all notification bells are ringing every time you step foot in the Realest channel on YouTube. Grown Man Business TV. You already know how we giving it up, right? R.I.P. to Nipsey Hussle, man. Yeah. One thing for sure, two things for certain, man. It's bigger than geographical, landscape or where you from or where you at. You feel me? When you inspire, that is a global connection. When you inspire people, when you resonate with people, that trumps color, it trumps creed, it trumps your gang, it trumps all of that. Just like grown man business is a universal language. And when you inspire people, that's a universal language. And when it's universal, that means it can go global at any time, my G. It's something that can circle the globe over and over and over again. And we're gonna have a conversation about that. We all know what happened to Nipsey Hussle. We all saw through the smoke and mirrors. We all seen things that came about, seen things that was swept under the rug. And being as though we got these outlets, we spoke on that. All right, so we're gonna touch on that as well. But I want to speak more into the inspiration. I want to speak more into the legacy. I want to speak more into the gems and the jewels that Nipsey Hussle left behind that I still, use in my mental Rolodex to this very day. You understand what I'm saying? And, we're going to get into that because the highest form is to inspire. You understand what I'm saying? And when you build a platform or you create a lane for yourself, bigger than the money, bigger than the fame, bigger than the fortune, you need to inspire. We're going to talk more about that. Big salute to the chat. Y'all already know what to do, man. Hit the like button and all that when y'all come in here. Quick hour of power. We not staying long, all right? Now, you see that right there at the bottom of the chat, right? You see that right there, right there. Before you get in here with your Twitter fingers, using your Twitter fingers, doing what Twitter fingers like to do all in the comment section, using your Twitter fingers in the comment section, extra Twittering with the Twitter fingers. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Make sure your notification bells are ringing loud and clear every time you step foot in the Realest channel on YouTube. Grown Man Business TV is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be. Now, again, 7 years to the day of the assassination of Nipsey Hussle out there in LA, right? Nasty work. We all saw Eric Holder do what he did. We all saw the triple cross. We didn't fall for the double cross. March 31st, 7 years ago, we saw Nipsey Hussle be assassinated, man. And it really shocked the world that Nip Hussle, in front of his store, in front of his establishment, in his neighborhood that he was helping, that he was, supplying jobs for, just doing everything and some extra, could be assassinated and violated in that way. And it really woke a lot of people up, right? So again, RP to Nipsey Hussle. But what I want to do is I want to kind of go down the timeline, right? I want to start with one of the first interviews that I seen from Nipsey that kind of drew me to Nipsey, that kind of made me understand that Nipsey was not the average gangbanger. He was not the average street hustler that we come across. And we all have these dudes. I was one of them. We can't help the environment that we was born in. We can't help the neighborhoods that we was born in. And being as though this is the devil's playground, right? We have all these thoughts and all these aspirations and all these dreams as youngsters, right? When we young, we have all these dreams. I used to want to be a fireman. I remember telling my mama I wanted to be a fireman. And then after we get dressed and we put our book bag on and we step off the porch into the environment, we become influenced by the environment that we are raised in. And it starts to change our thoughts. It starts to change our vision. It starts to alter. You understand what I'm saying? And, I was one of them ones. I am one of them ones that was in that environment, that just had different thoughts, understood things differently, could see through the smoke and mirrors at a young age. You feel what I'm saying? And Nip Hussle, and it's many more. Young Dolph, I mean, just many more that were able to, maneuver through this environment. So when you see a king, you recognize a king. That's one thing you got to understand. When you a man and you see a man, you're going to recognize a man. Every male is not a man. Every male is not respected or on a level as a man. Every male is not a king. Every female is not a queen. Every female is not a wife. So a real wife, she gonna recognize another wife. A real queen is gonna recognize another queen. And it ain't gonna be no hate. It ain't no DE, ain't nobody D-riding. It ain't none of that. It's just a real king gonna look at another king and understand that they got something in common. You understand what I'm saying? So a lot of people used to be in the DM like, yo, you don't even know Nipsey. He was from the West Coast, you from Virginia. Well, kings is kings, my G. Men are men. That's a universal language. It don't matter if you was in China. It don't matter if you was in Antarctica. If you a man and you, men are men, homie. I could be from Virginia. You could be from New Zealand. If we make eye contact, men gonna do what men do. So just always keep that in face. It's not gonna be no hate. It's not gonna be no jealousy when you got kings amongst kings. But when you got pawns and you got rooks and you got motherfucking knights all in the same room with kings, now things get choppy. When you got peasants amongst kings, Eric Holder was a peasant. He should have never even had the opportunity to be having a conversation. But it is what it is, and it'll be what it's going to be, and everything work out how it's supposed to work out, right? So you already know. One thing for sure, two things for certain, I don't go nowhere without the receipts. Yeah, I won't step out the front door without the receipts. I don't make a move without the receipts in my back pocket, and we got some receipts, all right? R.I.P. to Nip Hussle. You feel what I'm saying? The marathon is continuing, and I'm happy to see that. I'm happy to actually be able to see the marathon continuing, because it didn't look like it was continuing. It looked like it was at a halt. It looked like it was at a standstill when Nipsey Hussle lost his life. All right. Big salute to Black Sam. Big salute to Nip Hussle. Let's get into this receipt right here. This is one of the first times where I saw Nip on camera and heard him talk and understood that we had something in common. I understood exactly what he was saying. You know what I'm saying? Even back then, it resonated. You know, I was rocking with Nip before we go into this receipt. Just understand, I was rocking with Nip before everybody was rocking with Nip like that. I was turned on to Nip when the marathon continues and Bullets Ain't Got No Name series. You know, I was turned on to Nip back then by one of my homies. This way before. In 2015, I had already went to the marathon store, walked into it. You feel what I'm saying? So it is what it is, and it'll be what it's gonna be. Big salute.
Under a microscope, they damn near study everything a nigga do, from a nigga walk to a nigga talk to the type of music we do. And I ain't talking about black and white. I'm just talking about, street and non-street, like, gutter and suburb. You know what I mean? Like, just have not and have. You feel what I'm saying? So I'm not just on black and white. You know what I mean? But it's a lot of that too. But like you said, it's just like everything else. Africa was full of natural resources, but they do. All the diamonds, they came and got it. All the gold, they came and got it. All the niggas, they came and got us. You know what I mean? The continent is raped of all its resources. So, you know what I mean? I guess the word they call it is colonialism, when they come and colonize your land and take the resources.
That nigga just thought you was a regular gangbanger.
Yeah, like I said,
using words like that.
Yeah, we said it earlier. Like I educated myself. At one point I was ignorant and lost, but like you got to know yourself before you do anything. Before you can make a record, before you can have an opinion, you got to know yourself. So, the same thing going on with rap music. The same thing going on with all of our culture. Whether it's gangbanging, whether it's trapping down south, whether it's hip hop, whatever it is, like, if a motherfucker see it as an asset or as a resource, we don't got no means to go get it. You know what I mean? Other than our little pistols and handguns, we got choppers and all that. These niggas got millions of dollars, institutions set up, like the LAPD, like the feds, like the FBI. All this is their army, and their army make it to where you can inflict your will. Meaning, if a motherfucker don't want to do it from an agreement, you can come take it. If a nigga don't want to agree and do it verbally, well, you got an army to come enforce your will. So we that's what we lack. You know what I mean? We don't have no army that's gonna come protect our natural resources, because our shit is divided. You know what I'm saying? We don't even understand how we connected, because you a blood, I'm from 60s, fuck you, or you from over, I'm from 60s, fuck you, or you from A-Tray, I'm from 60s, fuck you. And that's a fucked up mentality to have. But that's the culture of where we come from. To where, like, that's why my album is titled South Central State of Mind. Because we reason why.
Now, that was deep. Even back then, when I heard it, I understood it. You feel what I'm saying? He talking about the higher ups in the elites. This is early. He's speaking about, the millions and billions of dollars they use to inflict their will, go and snatch up the resources. A lot of people looked over this, but this is some of the stuff that I was tuned into early. You feel what I'm saying? So, the FBI, the CIA, like speaking about how we don't understand that we got to unite. That's the one thing we don't have is an actual army. You got Bloods, you got Crips, you got whatever gangs or whatever neighborhoods, right? But y'all don't know how to unite. When you listen to like these old interviews of Nip, it'll make you understand where his mentality went once he got the money, once he engaged with the industry. He was trying to create the army, right? That he was talking about. When you listen to this, you will realize, nobody really was connecting the dots on why Nipsey was so adamant about connecting all the gangs and all the hoods out there in California. Nipsey said he had respect in 100 hoods, 100 sets. He could go to any hood in Nipsey, you know what I'm saying? Like nobody would touch him. He could be in the Blood hood. He could be here. He could be there. And he was going to unite these gangs. And we're going to talk more about that towards the end of this. You know what I'm saying? That's one of the most dangerous angles he was trying to take. Everybody talk about Dr. Sebi. Everybody's going to talk about Big U, etc., right? But what you got to understand is before Dr. Sebi, before Big U, it's the Bloods and Crips. It's the gang culture in LA. The gang culture in LA makes a lot of people rich. A lot of the dog fur, a lot of the higher ups in the elites, behind closed doors, they get rich. Every time you do a drive-by, every time you assassinate or you delete somebody from another neighborhood, they getting rich. Not only are they getting rich, but they getting your organs. So they say they getting rich. One of y'all going to prison for 60 years. The other one going to the morgue. Now your organs is on the table. See, it's so many different levels. And when you try to connect these gangs, right? When you try to unify these gangs, what you do is you affect the bottom line of the higher ups and the elites. Deep down, they don't want the gangs to stop warring. Deep down, they don't want the gangs to stop killing each other. Oh, black on black violence, gang wars in South Central LA. Gang wars. We need to get these gang wars under control. But behind closed doors, they don't want the gang wars under control. They want y'all to keep doing what y'all doing. And then you get somebody like Nip Hussle that came up through the ranks, came up through those very gangs, gained all the respect, got everything he needed, had all the war, patches on his general and all that, had all the purple hearts that you need. He got to a level where he was able to affect the bottom line. He was able to get the 60s to get cool or at least be kosher with the Hoovers, the A-Trade gangsters, Grape Street, etc. Nipsey was the one that was about to do that. And again, I got wind of that in these old interviews when he was talking about natural resources, when he was talking about not having an army. Well, what happens when you actually create the army that you was talking about? Again, we're going to go into another receipt, right? But I need you to understand that the higher ups and the elites profit off our demise. They profit off our death. They profit off the destruction of our community. They don't profit when we get smart. They don't profit when we elevate. They don't profit when we unify. They don't profit from that. The dog fur, right? The higher ups and the elites create the problem, and then they act as if they are concerned about the problem. Oh, gang violence in South Central. The whole time they put crack in the street. They put guns in the street. Then they talk about a war on drugs, a war on the same drugs they put in your neighborhood, a war on the same violence they help promote, they help push it. All the way down to LAPD. You know what I'm saying? When the death toll starts to drop, right? When the crime is decreasing, the actual LAPD used to go into other neighborhoods, do drive-bys, and then tell them that the Bloods did it. Go into other neighborhoods, whack out murals, and tell them that the Crips did it. They were starting whole gang wars just to keep the violence going. Because with violence, now the LAPD, they got overtime. Mr. Universe, you want it. The investigators is eating. The lawyers is eating. The judges is eating. The jails are full. The CO's getting overtime. Everybody eats off the destruction. So the moment the moment somebody unifies that, they affect the bottom line. And before we go into this next receipt, I just want you to understand the only way to really move this matrix, the only way to really affect this matrix is to affect the bottom line. They don't give a damn about marching. They don't care about protesting. They don't care about none of that. When you affect the resource of money, when you affect the bottom line, that's when you become a real issue. All right, big salute, man. Is what it is, and it'll be what it's gonna be. But I want to direct y'all to a song that Nipsey Hussle did. Again, I was locked in with Nip way before Crenshaw, way before any of this industry hype, right? It's a song that Nipsey Hussle did back in the day called Payback. You know what I'm saying? I'ma just give you the game. If you choose to go and listen to the song, then that's on you, right? But this song, Payback, is a song that made them people, when Nipsey did the song Payback, that's one of the songs that made the LA. That song Payback is one of the reasons why when Nipsey Hussle was assassinated, the LAPD got caught on walkie-talkie laughing and making jokes about Nipsey Hussle. The song is called Payback. Go listen to it. You're welcome. Listen. Thank me later. Thank me later. Go listen to the song when you get a chance. It's some real Tupac shit. Tupac wasn't even talking like that. Yeah. Tupac wasn't even talking that crazy. You feel me? All right. So big salute to the chat. Nothing about the. All right. I know nothing about the topic. Well, listen, man. You know, it's nothing wrong with not knowing. It's nothing wrong with a little ignorance. You know what I'm saying? But, you know, close your mouth, open your ears. Shouldn't take you long to be abreast of what we talking about. R.I.P. to Nipsey Hussle. It's deeper than Dr. Sebi. It's deeper. One of LAPD's biggest fears is these street gangs uniting. These street gangs coming together, redirecting their energy from aiming it at each other to aiming it at the real opposition, aiming it at the matrix, aiming it at LAPD, aiming it at the higher ups and the elites. Instead of rioting on Crenshaw, going up in them Hollywood hills. Nipsey. Let's get into another quote from Nipsey Hussle, right? So you see the old Nipsey. We gonna fast forward to, you know, an older Nipsey Hussle, a little bit of a wiser Nipsey Hussle. And I just want to speak to this quote. This is a quote that, you know, it's still in my mental Rolodex to this day. This quote right here is a quote that I always revert back to. I revert back to this quote 2 or 3 times a week. It really gives perspective to, you know, what this thing is when it start getting a little bit tight, it start getting a little bit tough. You start wondering, you start questioning your purpose. You start questioning if you going the right way, you know, if you making the right moves. And we'll speak to that. Big salute to the chat. Look, let's get into this. Big salute. Look.
My mentality when I do start to be like, damn, this is a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's what it's supposed to feel like. If you are going toward what the vision look like, and that's like greatness. That's, on multiple levels. Mm-hmm. That's the vision that I'm working toward. So I'm like, I just think about that. Like, this shit ain't supposed to feel, comfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to stretch you. It's supposed to be a burden to a degree. And you gotta, wrap your mind around that and accept it and embrace it. And you catch some wisdom off of that. You know what I mean? My mentality when I do start to be like, damn, this is a lot. You know what I'm saying? It's just like, that's what it's supposed to feel like. If you are going toward what the vision look like, and that's like greatness. That's, on multiple levels. Mm-hmm. That's the vision that I'm working toward. So I'm like, I just think about that. Like, this shit ain't supposed to feel, comfortable. It's supposed to be uncomfortable. It's supposed to stretch you. It's supposed to be a burden to a degree. And you gotta, wrap your mind around that and accept it and embrace it. And you catch some wisdom off of that. You know what I mean?
RP to homie Nip, man. We gonna get to this receipt right here, but yeah, they definitely gonna muffle the message. They definitely gonna buffer the channel when I'm talking like this. Because again, I'm gonna connect dots that nobody else is gonna connect. I'm gonna take it a little bit further than the average YouTuber. Nobody really talks about that angle. And I'm gonna get back into that angle. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, the bottom line, the last thing they want is a revolution, a unite. These gangs getting together and really figuring this out, right? But in this clip right here, Nipsey is talking about how when things get tough, right? When you waking up every day, you going to work, you running your business, whatever it is, and things start to feel tough. You start to feel some pressure. It feels like you might not be doing the right thing, or you might not be going in the right direction. That's how it's supposed to feel. And this quote right here always resonated with me. It inspires me because, we always come across times in business, marriage, family, etc., right? Where it's just some pressure, it's some turmoil. You understand what I'm saying? And, a lot of people at the first sign of pressure and the first sign of turmoil, they like to turn around. You know what I'm saying? They like to go backwards. They like to try to figure out a way out of it. You know what I'm saying? And instead of understanding that that's what it's supposed to feel like when you going towards greatness. When you going towards greatness, it's gonna get uncomfortable. You understand what I'm saying? This what it's supposed to feel like when you going towards greatness, my G. When you going towards your purpose, it ain't supposed to be comfortable. It's going to become uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? And being as though I'm still here and Nip, Nip is not. It resonates with me, right? But then I'm able to expand on that. The Most High is gonna bless you, but just like the Most High is gonna bless you, the devil or the evils can bless you as well. You feel what I'm saying? So it's gonna get a little bit tough. It's gonna get a little bit rough. But what you gonna do is you gonna keep going. You gonna stay focused. You're not gonna bow out. You gonna understand that if you are to achieve what you feel like you deserve in this life, you gotta keep going forward. You can't go backwards. There is no, you know what I'm saying? There is no turning around. And it get deep, it get wicked, and it's always deep in the rap because again, bro, the highest form of this thing is to inspire somebody. When I get up on this YouTube, when I get up on this platform, and I deliver these downloads, one of the main goals is to inspire somebody to be great, to be bold, to be a rebel, to say what's on your mind, to embrace, you know what I'm saying, your hair, your non-ether, to embrace this melanin, to embrace everything that come with this, everything everything that they try to make us hate about ourselves, everything that they tried to make us embarrassed about, they tried to shun us, they tried to, you know what I'm saying, disrespect you, and then turn right around and go get everything you got because they secretly want it, but they want you to hate it. You know, one of the things, one of the main focuses is to inspire. You understand? And Nip did that. Not only Nip, Tupac did that. Tupac said one time, he said, I might not be here to change the world, but I'm going to spark the brain of the youngster that's going to change the world. He said that. And it inspired me. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? He sparked the brain of a grown man business TV. Tupac sparked the brain of a Nipsey Hussle, of a rebel. So, you know, again, it don't matter where you from. It really matter where you at. You understand what I'm saying? And, you know, Nip might have been from LA, but I'm a king from Virginia. And if I hear another king giving some game that I could use, putting game on the ground for the hungry hounds, my G, I'm gonna pick that game right up. All right. So again, this was a powerful, powerful quote from Nipsey that I still use today. This what it's supposed to feel like when you going towards greatness. This what it's supposed to feel like when you ain't bending, breaking, and folding for the higher ups and the elites. When you ain't walked through the door at one of those Nori parties. It's supposed to take a little bit longer to get to 100,000 subscribers. When you ain't get up on his YouTube and sell your soul, when you ain't get up on his YouTube and just shuck and jive like everybody else, it's gonna take a little longer. You know, Nipsey called it a marathon. I call it doing it organically. You understand what I'm saying? It's all in the same, though. It's all in the same. Nipsey said it's a marathon. Take your time. Don't be in a rush to get the bag. Don't be in a rush to sell your soul. I say, we gonna do this thing organically. Yeah. We not adding no preservatives. We not adding no baking soda, no quinine, no fentanyl to this. We gonna keep it pure, straight off the brick into the bottles. At the end of the day, we gonna meet at the top. All right, big salute to the chat. Let's go into another receipt, man. And yeah, again, like I said, when you talking like this, they gonna muffle the message. They gonna buffer the channel. It's gonna go in and out. Don't worry. Don't worry. When I talk like this, when I talk a certain way, they'll knock down the whole live stream. Look at that live I did about Charleston White and how they, yeah. Let's go into this next receipt, man. Look.
And we look at life like it's about what you can get from life. And I think, you know, I read something, I was like, that's not what it is. You're going to always be unfulfilled if you look at life like that. It's about knowing you're going to leave one day. And, you know, when you leave, the only way you're going to be fulfilled is if you know you gave everything you had. Really, though. And you emptied yourself here. And you left it all here because it's temporary and you got a moment. I want to be in this thing until, you know, I'm out of energy, till I don't have nothing left to contribute. This whole thing, we look at life like it's about what you can get from life. And I think, you know, I read something, I was like, that's not what it is. You're going to always be unfulfilled if you look at life like that. It's about knowing you're going to leave one day. And, you know, when you leave, the only way you're going to be fulfilled is if you know you gave everything you had. Really, though. And you emptied yourself here. And you left it all here because it's temporary and you got a moment. I want to be in this thing until, you know, I'm out of energy, till I don't have nothing left to contribute. This whole...
You know, this is what you got to understand, right? When you looking at Nip, you're not looking at a man that's perfect. You're looking at a man with discernment that was able to hear the downloads and give them up. Nip wasn't perfect because some of the things he say, you could tell he was at war with those actual same quotes. You understand what I'm saying? He was at war with it. It's a deep perspective, right? But we all look at life at like what can we get out of it? You know what I'm saying? Like, this is what we are trained to think. Like, as we grow up, we want to figure out what we can get out of this. You know, go to school, go to college, get a master's degree. You'll be able to get a great job. What can we get out of this? Yo, the house, white picket fence. Oh, the American dream. And once, it's hard to understand this unless you done had some shit. Like, it's like a motherfucker who get rich, right? And then they say, the money is not gonna make you happy. But when you poor, you saying to yourself, that's all I need to make me happy is some paper. If I could just get some paper, that's all I need. But it's always gonna be a motherfucker who touch it that's gonna have a different perspective. You know what I'm saying? So when you start touching something or you've been exposed to something, you can actually say like, yo, that's not, it's not really about that. Because when you get that, then what? If your goal is to get $1 million, once you get $1 million, then what? Now you feel like you need $10 million. And then you get $10 million. And then what? You go in a room and you the brokest person in the room. You really feel like now you need $100 million. You get $100 million. Then what? You get in a certain room and you realize you need $1 billion. You get $1 billion. And then what? You get in a certain room and realize Elon Musk got $500 billion, 7, 8, 900 billion. You're never going to be fulfilled if you chasing the material things of the world. You feel what I'm saying? You're never going to be fulfilled. That's why you get to a point where the Most High, that book, whatever, right? You start leaning into that. You start understanding that you had sex with this girl. You had sex with that girl. You had sex with all these girls. And then you start realizing that shit ain't going to be enough. It's never going to be enough pussy. You understand what I'm saying? The faster you realize that, the better. See, I feel like Nip won't perfect. I ain't perfect. It's just the game is the game. If Nip really took that and understood that, he probably would have already been married to Lauren London. If you told Nip right now, listen, you can go back to Earth, but you got to marry, that nigga would do that shit in a blink of an eye. The faster you realize none of that shit is going to fulfill you. It's like an endless cup. It's going to damage you. Every time you do it, it's taking you further and further away from your purpose. Every time you lay down with one of these, miscellaneous females you meet at the club, it's taking you further and further away from your purpose. It's taking you further and further away from your purpose. Money is the motivation, but money ain't your purpose. Oh, hey, word to Nipsey. Word to Nipsey, man. Right? Nip inspired me to get his game up, to make sure I'm delivering this game the same way I feel like he gave that game up. Hey, see, what you got to understand is money is the motivation. Always. Everything we do is money motivated. Everything we do, even our thoughts, we thinking about trying to get some more motherfucking money. Money is the motivation, but money ain't the purpose. So if money becomes the purpose, when you get the money, you will never achieve or get close to your purpose, because there's always some more money to make. More money, more money, more money. Oh yeah, it's always another dollar to make. You got $1 million, you need 5 million. You got 5 million, you need 10 million. You got 10 million, you need 100 million. You got 100 million, you need $500 million. You got that, well now you need $1 billion. 2.8 million, like 2.8 billion, like Jay-Z. Jay-Z get in a room with those Saudi Arabian oil juggernauts. He's a fucking bus boy. Jay-Z's a crumb on the table when he get in the same room with those oil juggernauts, those Saudis and all that. Yeah, Jay-Z, man, they spend that shit on watches. Jay-Z's a waiter. Would you like more ice with that drink? Jay-Z money is a waiter when it come to certain rooms, homie. Big salute to the chat. All I'm saying is to inspire. I definitely, in my own lane, wanna be one of the voices that one of these young black boys hear. And it sparks and it inspires them to embrace this melanin, to embrace and really be proud of what they are, to be bold, to be boisterous. You understand? To be a rebel in this shit. To say what you mean and mean what you say. To be a grown man and not a sausage Santana. Yeah, I saw that in my comment section. Called them sausage Santana. I want to be the balance. I inspire to do that. Nipsey Hussle inspired me. Big salute to the chat. R.I.P. to Nipsey, man. A legend, bro. A legend. A wise, hey, listen, a smart man learns from his own mistakes. A wise man learns from the mistakes of others. Just as much as I respect and motivated by the game Nipsey was giving up, I actually learned from, I learned from his mistakes. I learned from the mistakes of Nipsey Hussle. Why you see me at the big house? Yeah, I'm good. I'm good. If I were Nipsey, if I was in a position where I got a phone call and the homie just got out of prison and he needs some clothes and, you know, X, Y, and Z, I'm going to make a phone call to the store. I'm not getting out my bed for that. I'm not getting out my, hey, look, homie, welcome home. Hey, yo, cowboy, go in the store, make sure he get $5,000 worth of merchandise for him and his kids and all that. Welcome home, homie. I'll see you soon. You understand? I learned, so it is what it is. Let's get into another receipt. Big salute to the chat. I want to speak to this real quick as well. You know, I saw a video of Cowboy. I might pull that receipt up. But Cowboy just recently purchased some acres of land out there in like Arizona or New Mexico. I'm gonna do some more research on it. But I said to myself, Nip would be proud of a Cowboy. I don't really know, you know, it's still choppy with what happened out there. When Nip lost his life, I feel like, you know, nobody helped him. But that's a whole nother live stream. But seeing Cowboy buy those acres of land, let me know again, you know, the motivation. He know Nip would be proud of that. Ownership, land, all these certain things that's hard to come by on American soil. Is what it is and it'll be what's going to be. Let's get into this last receipt. Is this the last receipt? No, this is not the last receipt. Well, this is the last receipt of Nipsey just giving up some game. And then we're going to go into the marathon continues in present day. It's a couple of things I want to speak about. Salute to Black Sam for making sure the marathon is continuing. And we'll pull it all in to present day, what's happening right now. And we'll move from there. Quick hour of power is what we doing with Nipsey. We going live again tonight. And we going right back to the Iran war, Donald Trump, what's going on in present day, right now. All right, big salute, man. Talk to the people, Nip. Look. Run them lights up.
Do you know how kids spell love? T-I-M-E. You know, not only kids, it's people in general. You know, time is how, when somebody gives you their time, how you really know. I read somewhere that the highest human act is to inspire. And we all are in search of inspiration every day. So events like this and just opportunities to be able to either inspire or be inspired, I think, is what creates movements. You know, we all have the capacity to inspire people. Do you know how kids spell love? T-I-M-E. You know, not only kids, it's people in general. You know, time is how, when somebody gives you their time, how you really know. I read somewhere that the highest human act is to inspire. And we all are in search of inspiration every day. So events like this and just opportunities to be able to either inspire or be inspired, I think, is what creates movements. You know, we all have the capacity to inspire people. Do you know how kids spell love? T-I-M-E. You know, not only kids, it's people in general. You know, time is how, when somebody gives you their time, how you really know.
I'm going to stop the homie Nip right there. Again, right? Y'all always hear me tell y'all that time and energy are the highest forms of currency. Currency is a form of money, a resource. And I tell y'all every time we connect, time and energy. Time and energy. You understand what I'm saying? And to hear Nip say that, it just, again, it resonates. It resonates. Kings are going to address kings, homie. Kings speak among kings. Great minds think alike. Great minds are going to think alike, my G. Time and energy is how you spell love. It's how you know. It's how you know. You feel what I'm saying? My kids, time, energy. You know, the old lady, time, energy. Grown Man Business TV as a platform, time, energy. My investors, they invest their time and their energy in this platform, which is why we growing organically. You understand what I'm saying? So, you know, again, when you got people going to tell you that money is it. Money is what it, nah, it's really time and energy. The money come after that. Because if you ain't got time or you ain't got energy, you ain't going to have the money. Yeah. Listen to me. We talk. Listen, I know. Listen, we gonna talk about that. It ain't Memorial Day. I'm feeling godly today, but I'm the old head. This what I would have wore to the goddamn cookout. Yeah, we gonna talk about. Don't trip. Time and energy. You really want to show your love? You really want to let somebody or something know what they mean to you? Invest your time and your energy into the situation. All right? That's easy. Now, the highest form of human act is to inspire. I just kind of spoke about that. I just spoke about inspiration and inspiring and wanting to be inspired. You understand? Like, let me tell you something, man. When we really get this blueprint into our mental Rolodex and we apply it, bro, it makes us powerful. We are way more powerful than the higher ups and the elites. You know, inspiration, being an inspiration, right? But not only being an inspiration, wanting to be inspired. I want to be inspired. I don't really fuck around if I can't get inspiration from you. You understand? And without even trying, I'm going to be able to inspire you. My old lady, right? One of the it's a lot of salute to all the youngsters in my DM, like, yo, how did you know she was your wife? How did you know this? How did you know that, right? One of the things that stuck out early for me is how she inspired me in certain ways. And not just that, but how I was able to inspire her in certain ways. I could see how I inspired her without money, without a bag. Put the money to the side. You know what I'm saying? You really got to take the money out and see what your effect is on a situation and then add the money. Like wanting to be inspired. You understand? You talking to your homie, you should want to hear something from him that's going to inspire you. If you get no inspiration, then it's pointless. It's pointless. And if you don't give inspiration, it's pointless. Let me go a little deeper, right? Everybody, the whole culture talks about not being used. I don't want nobody using me. Jay-Z just said that in his interview. I spoke on that. I don't want nobody using me. My circle, they helped me out and nobody was using me. I tell you, everything that they push to us, you got to look at it in reverse. Nobody wants to be used, but if you can't be used, then guess what? You're fucking useless. If you can't be used, you're useless. And if I can't be used, I'm useless. The saying is, and what you really meaning to say is you don't want to be taken advantage of. Just say that. I don't want people to take advantage of me. But you really do want to be, I want to be used. I want to be used in the right way. And I want to be able to use you in the right way. I want you to be able to use me in the right way. I don't want to be useless. You understand? So inspiration is a deep rabbit hole. Being able to inspire is a deep rabbit hole. And articulating that is one of the most powerful tools you can have, because a lot of people say, yo, you guys is just on YouTube talking. Well, that's where it starts at. It starts with the frequency. It starts with speaking it into reality, speaking it into the universe. Being able to say out loud that, yo, we need to inspire people, so that a young boy can hear you say that and say, damn, I never thought about it like that. You rapping, but you not inspiring nobody, or you are inspiring. You know what? You inspiring the young boys to go get guns and drill. You inspiring the youth to go do Percocets, because that's what you rapping about. You inspiring them to destroy themselves. That's what you talking about. So even like, again, hearing Nip say things like that. See, again, it ain't no jealousy. It ain't no dick riding. Kings is kings, my G. Great minds think alike. Sometimes you got to close your fucking mouth and open your ears to get the real results. And sometimes you got to be able to inspire. You got to be able to talk. You got to be able to articulate yourself. You got to be able to speak with conviction. You got to be a stand-up man, so that when people actually hear you, they believe you. They understand you. You got to be able to plant the seed sometimes. You can't always go to Nipsey Hussle. You can't always go to your idols, Jay-Z and this person and that person. Sometimes you got to be the inspiration. Comprehension is key, my G. Close your mouth and open your ears. And if that's the position you in, to close your mouth and open your ears, then you need to be comprehending everything that you hearing. Comprehension. That's what a big part of this platform is. I ain't just up here rapping and tapping, spitting and skitting. When I talk about the higher ups and the elites, I'm planting the seed in these. I'm planting the seed. If you didn't know, now you know. When I show you the pool, when I show you the big house, when I show you my journey, all I'm doing is trying to inspire you to step out there. Step out there and go for whatever your purpose is, my G. Your purpose ain't my purpose. What you consider to be lit is not what I consider to be lit. You think partying and strip clubs is lit. I think being a husband, a family man, I think that's lit. Whatever it is, it is. Your purpose is yours, mine is mine. I just naturally wanted to inspire. Nipsey did too. Only difference is we see where Nipsey Hussle is at. You know, big salute to Nip, man. Big salute to his family. RIP to that man. Let's get into this last angle. Quick hour of power. We're not going to talk for hours about this. Let's look at and get some context on where the marathon is at right now. And we're going to speak to that. All right? Big salute to the chat. Hit them like buttons. Look.
It's been 7 years since we lost Nipsey Hussle, and his legacy is still moving the culture forward. The South Central LA rapper and entrepreneur was killed at 33 outside his Marathon clothing store in Crenshaw and Slauson. But what happened after his passing turned his vision into something permanent. That same intersection is now officially Nipsey Hussle Square, honoring the neighborhood he poured back into. The marathon didn't stop either. His brother Black Sam has kept it going, continuing to build the brand and expand the vision. The Marathon clothing brand continues to grow. They now have a Marathon Run Club and Marathon on a restaurant created to honor Nip is now taking off. It has 4 locations, including a new spot in Long Beach and plans to expand to Times Square in New York.
We got a New York location Locked and loaded, Times Square.
From Crenshaw to the world, his influence is still showing up across culture. Filmmaker Ryan Coogler even said Nipsey and his brother Sam may have subconsciously inspired the character Smoke and Stack in his Oscar-winning film Sinners. Adidas and James Harden also recently unveiled a marathon colorway for the Harden Volume 10 sneaker, inspired by Nipsey's signature blue and his message, "The marathon continues." And Nipsey's story is still being told. A new docuseries backed by LeBron James' Spring Hill Company is set to drop in 2026, featuring rare footage, unreleased music, and narration from Nipsey himself. 7 years later, Nipsey Hussle's impact isn't just remembered, it's still being built in real time.
Salute to Nipsey, man. It seemed like, I don't know, it just seemed like the guys that he had around him wasn't able to pick up the torch. But in due time, what I had to understand and what I realized is, with a situation like Nip and the magnitude of what he was trying to deliver to the culture, is going to take some time when you eliminate him from the equation. When you take the mastermind away from the equation, it's going to take some years, bro, to kind of get the ball rolling, everybody to wrap their mind around what happened and keep the marathon continuing. And I feel like when I look at Black Sam, that's what I see. Like, nobody understand, that was his brother. So it took some time for him to get his mind wrapped around everything, to really gain his sanity back and then get back out there. You know what I'm saying? And I'm gonna kind of speak to what we just saw in this receipt, but with the downloading, it's like, bro, always keep it in mind, the world don't stop. Nothing stops, bro. You know what I'm saying? Somebody get assassinated, guess what? Everybody got to go to work tomorrow. Everybody got to run a business tomorrow. If you get assassinated on the 31st, guess what everybody did the next day right after Nipsey Hussle got assassinated? Everybody paid their mortgage or paid their rent. If Nipsey Hussle got assassinated or not, the motherfuckers, when they got those money orders to pay that goddamn rent, the world don't stop. And in some ways, we all know how it feels. I think we all have lost somebody, had somebody pass away, and, you don't even have time to really grieve. And I feel, and that's what happened to Black Sam. He didn't have time. He had to, at the time he was grieving, we was all saying the marathon wasn't continuing. Well, now we can see the results of that. Big salute to Black Sam, man. Let me see something real quick, because we're going to go into that. When I was out in Cali, I went to the Marathon Burger on Melrose. I was out there maybe some months ago, and amazing smash burgers, amazing milkshakes, fire. You know what I mean? I was just, I was like, damn, because, we rock with Nip. We rock with the marathon, but if the food ain't right, or if this ain't right, or if that ain't right, then I would have to keep it 100. Amazing food. The burgers was fire. Now, I mean, I went out there all weekend. I went out there and ate. I was driving from over there near Crenshaw and all that, all the way back to yeah, I think I took them joints down. I thought I had the pictures up there. I thought I did. Anyway, I might have posted it on my channel. Yeah, I didn't take them down. But yeah, I was out there. I took a bunch of pictures. Enjoyed the marathon. Enjoyed the whole little situation. Let me see some. Maybe I put it in my joint. But now, they got the joint on Melrose, but now they got the actual New York branch. I think that's fire. You know what I'm saying? And I want to say this, right? Big salute to Cali and all that, but I feel like California, it's like something about the program or I don't know, man. I just feel like outside of Cali, everybody really pushes that marathon shit. That Times Square location is gonna be crazy. The people that's gonna come out, that shit is gonna be crazy. That's a huge move right there. That Times Square, New York City location. So y'all gonna really see how it's going. You know what I'm saying?